if you were building an app and you wanted to be educated on how to start that process, the first thing that you're going to want to do is find some apps that are similar to the type of app that you want to build. That's the high level thing happening here. Welcome to this video where we're going to do a teardown of two popular travel apps, Airbnb and Couchsurfing. So what you see up on the screen in front of you are the tablet versions here on a Mac OS, but basically out of the App Store. And what are you going to learn in this video if you stick around? Well, you're going to see a breakdown of all the pages. Basically, the idea here is that if you were building an app and you wanted to be educated on how to start that process, the first thing that you're going to want to do is find some apps that are similar to the type of app that you want to build. That's the high level thing happening here. So whether you are building an app that's like this one or some other totally different type of app, this process is still going to apply to you. So let's get started. Let's take a look at what we have here on the screen. Both of these apps are when I just first loaded them up. So I'm not logged into either of them. And what I want to point out is that, is that the one on the left here is so very well funded compared to the one on the right for Couchsurfing. Now I'm just going to go ahead and walk through this sign up process quickly. All right, and so into the Couchsurfing app as well as the unlogged in Airbnb one, as mentioned before. Let's go ahead and start with our teardown of this first page. So you can think about the types of things that people are looking for in each of these apps. So I'm going to go basically here, I'm going to say, let's go with Mexico City. And what we got is a number of things happening in this particular area. So what they're showing us on this Couchsurfing one is the people who are the hosts, the different travelers. I guess those would be the people maybe looking for, or they've already specified the dates. And then we have a bunch of events here. So let's head back over to the dashboard. Again, I think when we go and search this, it's a little bit different view here. So that's the experience here on the Couchsurfing one, the experience on Airbnb. Right away, it puts you into looking at what it is that you might want to have based upon your location. But in the world of Airbnb, it's literally just where would you like to stay. It's a little bit more trip planning here for the Couchsurfing because there's events that they're showing and they're loosely organized. So actually, let's go ahead. Let's actually take a look at some of these events. So we can see there are things like, specific to the platform. So the types of communities that someone would find on this one is obviously going to be different than communities on Airbnb, even though we say that, hey, look, Airbnb has way more money to make a more polished user interface. But sometimes, and this is great news for people building in Bubble, is that, so here we got a language exchange, Mesa table games, it looks like, and these types of things. You can go watch The Simpsons. You can go to a roller skate and dance party. You're probably not going to find that here on this platform. So, that is to show off. That is to show off that even without the greatest, or even with a less polished, let's call it UI design, there's still a lot of value that can be added. And of course, here on the No Code Academy channel, what we're always going to be aiming for when we're talking about, how to go about building out a complete app for users to experience, we want to give the polish of this and, maybe even the nice touch of the community that you can see over on this one. But obviously that totally depends on the app. And both of these companies have been around for over a decade. So let's proceed with an official breakdown now. So I'm going to take out this notepad. So I've captured the various sections of the Airbnb app, which we're going to use as a rough outline as we further do our breakdown. Next up, the Couchsurfing app. And so we can see right away we're gaining a structure of what's actually inside of these apps. You probably know more in the last few minutes about your thinking level towards these apps is a lot more let's just say detail oriented, and maybe you've done some critical thinking as it relates to the structure of apps that you hadn't done prior to viewing this. So that's amazing. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a row by row breakdown of each of these sections. Let's go ahead and start with this Airbnb one. on this Explore tab, we're just going to take this row by row. So we have a horizontal. Actually, take it back first. The first thing that we see here, going on row by row, is a search box. Then we also have a horizontal category carousel here. So next up, it is a infinitely scrolling list of available properties that are filtered and sorted by some kind of ranking mechanism. But so this is infinite scroll of property listings, and then lastly a menu bar. So that's it. That's all that really encompasses this page. But then you could break down each of these by, and we'll actually do that as well. Why? Because this is an investigation video, and that's what we're doing. We're investigating. So we have stays, which we know that affects this infinite scroll property listings. And then there is experiences. And let's see, so stays, what can we do? We can choose location, date, and number of people. Same for experiences. Yeah. Okay. Let's go to Rome. Let's go these days. And let's see what we get. And let's see, was that experiences? Yes, it was. So we can see, all right, now we're still under this explore menu. So isn't this interesting that when you study out, again, this video is about showing a process, but if you were to do this for any app, if you were doing this for some other popular app, and you were, basically, here's the goal of doing this, is to investigate all of the possible features that could exist in the app that you're thinking about building, whether for yourself or a client. And then from all of those possible features, see if the feasibility is all possible in Bubble. So for example, like stories, and being able to capture, like if you have stories in some of the popular social media apps where you add these filters on top of people, that's really not as possible in Bubble. But you could do stories in just a very simple format where you're able to take a video and then post it, for example. So some little bit more basic functionality. All right, so we can see both for stays and experiences. What we're going to do is we're going to break this down into, so there's a map, and then there is an infinite scroll of, not infinite, 478, that's quite a few. Okay, so then we can see, let's go ahead and click into one of these. Got it. That's great. And so now we're actually looking at, we've been taken out of the menu, and we're in a very kind of down a cul-de-sac, as it were, if we were to use some kind of navigational neighborhood language. So we've kind of gone down this cul-de-sac, and what we're seeing is this page. You're going to either do something on here, you're either going to book this, or you're going to go back to your list of stuff, right? So after the infinite scroll, we can get into, we're going to call this a single experience listing page. And that's it. So what is this thing compiled of? Well, this one is compiled of a photo, title, information, booking ability. On the photo, we're going to say share and favorite for later. Let's see, photo slider. A bunch of information, prices, but that kind of falls under information, so I don't think we need that. Information, all of this stuff is under this information tab. We don't need to list this all out, but because when it's just static text and some pictures, you set this up. The way it works in Bubble is you build one page, and then every single experience is going to have a bunch of data, and that data is going to just get filled into a templated thing. So you only have to build it once, and when you build it, it's like, okay, what categories does it have? The information, you're just laying out a UI, and you're going to allow your database-driven app to kind of power all of these pages, which is amazing because it's, super easy that way. And same with these reviews. So you can see that you would actually want to break this down if you were, so this information, if we were going to look at data types, okay, so it has all those and you get the point, right? But the thing I want to point out is like, so for example, now we're all of a sudden, we're balancing between the world of UI and what's being shown here, and then also what already is going to go into your database. So we know that, for example, if that there are 792 reviews in the Airbnb database as it relates to this experience. Now, each of these reviews has like a review owner, a writer, but then it also has a review, like something that it belongs to, and it belongs to this experience. So we can see that we'll need fields in the database that would set this up. And it would need, if it has the, let's see, it would need a date of when the review was made. It'll need each review will, that's just what it'll have. It'll have a date, it'll have the actual review content itself. And so you can see how that would probably be its own data type that would encapsulate these things, and then you attach it. And so we're getting into all of the planning that would take place when you want to basically build an app for the first time. And if you take, here in this video, we're just taking the time that it's taking. But in your world, it's very, very, very much worth the 1 to 2 hour investment to go through this process. And I hope that you're finding some inspiration from this video to do so. Cool. So let's get out of the experience area. We see that we can filter some of these. So for the experiences, infinite scroll, experience with filters. Let's go ahead and just fill these in. So it's activity type. Okay, so activity type, price, language, and time of day. So we can see here that we've actually gone pretty deep down the rabbit hole already into this one, into this explore area of the Airbnb menu structure. But this is amazing, right? Like if you're building an app and you don't have one of these and you're just kind of like going off of what's in your head, then that's going to be tough. But there's some ninjas out there that are capable of that. But for the rest of us mere mortals, here we go. So we have this nice outline. All right, so I've clicked back into here. But what we're going to do is we can see that this single experience listing page is basically the exact same as the stays, the property is the same as an experience. So, maybe there's some minor details in terms of what's here in this information packet that goes along with every single one of these. But if you laid out your UI according to all the different information of whatever it is that is in your world for your app, and if you just capture all the data for each thing when there are, quote unquote, a bunch of things in your database, you have one template. It displays information from, so like this page is the exact same as this page. It's just pulling different stuff from the database, and that's it. Easy peasy, right? Okay, so let's move on, because we can see that this is obviously just a category of stuff that these have tags in them, and that's again more dynamic driven, like feature-based stuff. Right now we're only really worried about we are worried about the features, or not worried, we're taking a look at and seeing what exactly is going on in the world of this particular app, now Airbnb. So now let's actually go ahead and switch over. So we're not going to go to wish list, trips, inbox, and login yet. We're going to jump over to Couchsurfing. So we're going to check out what's on their dashboard. And basically they have this thing called Hangouts. and it is a horizontal users carousel. So all of the people using the app are here, and we could go hang out, but I think we have to do some profile completeness or something in order to do that. But we can see that that's a pretty big feature. Maybe this is like the type of thing where you get to know someone before, because couchsurfing is a very different style of travel than Airbnb, where you're kind of, going with the aspect of some community and some nice person that you would meet when you go somewhere, or that you would, have cool people that have interesting stories to share about their travels and come and share those with you if you're the one hosting. All right, so what's next? But we can see that this is a feature that would deserve more discussion if we were including it in our app. Like, what else should this do? What happens when you click on one of these, or when you click on Hangout? Does it kind of pair two people up, and then you see someone that you could potentially go and hang out with, and then you click Hangout. And then if someone did that and they did it to my profile, am I going to get like a pop-up notification, that says Julie wants to hang out with you? Click accept, and then you talk with someone new and see if welcome them to your town, or go plan a visit to theirs. So here we are. Next up after Hangouts is events. And just the physical act of writing this down is going to require, and viewing this on a video is going to get your brain in the mode of thinking, all right, what's going on in this section? Well, we've got events. Okay, events have so there's an event photo, event date, and event title and description, and event attendees. And so let's go ahead, let's click on one of these. So it looks like an international picnic. Seems pretty cool. A couple people chatting about it. So we can see that inside of event, there is a date. Okay, and so we can see, just having that all filled in is the steps that you want to do in your breakdown of whatever app, or for the purposes of this. It's great to see that there is no stone unturned in this screen here. Like, we know everything that's going on. If we were to build this, if we were tasked with building this screen this afternoon, today, in Bubble, and that's what we're going to go and do, we know that, well, first and foremost, we would need events probably as a data type, and then we need sample data in there for if we were building an MVP of this, right? We need some sample data in there. And then for all of the sample data, well, what data do we need if we wanted to display here? And not just display here for one event, but display here for every event that we would ever create in the app, or that we would allow users to create in the app. And that is the purpose of software development right there, folks, is empowering people to be able to do that stuff. But you are empowered to empower others. Funny how that works. Okay, so here we go. The attendees list, comments list here, comment creation, and I just note that if I tried to write a comment, we can see that because of my profile completeness, is someone just browsing through the app, it's not given to me. We can also see up here we have the ability to report an event. So that should tell you right there that whenever you build these types of interactivity things into your apps, these types of features, you automatically know, okay, looks like I'm going to need some kind of management system on the back end for the owners of the app to be able to, look into requests like this. So if somebody reported it, so let's see, it looks like, you could mark some things down. You could put some information here, and then you hit report, and then so you could have all basically reported events. This would just be a field in the database. Maybe, yep, so 2 fields tied to an event. 3. 1, yes or no, has it been reported? 2, the reason that it's reported, and it's just one of these. And then 3, the details. And then so on an admin's dashboard, you could display all of the events that have been reported by filtering all the ones that say yes, there's been something reported. And when this button is clicked and someone reports this, you can also set up a workflow so that an email is sent as well, or whatever other type of functionality you'd want to build into your system. Now, because if you are at in a position where you have a full-time salary job as a Bubble developer, you probably, your systems you might have a notification thing that shows up in the app for someone that's an admin user and these types of things. So they might be a little bit more robust. But you can see from start of someone building at an MVP level to someone that's already, they have more resources and that those types of things, they can, make things all the more user-friendly and convenient for people. Speaking of resources, let's head back over to Airbnb, where they are stacked with resources to be able to make amazing experiences for people. Okay, so just going to log in here and see what we got. We're going to skip the notifications, and we can see here, so from this Explore area, we now actually have, if we were to click on these, we can see a lot of stuff happening. Okay, so you can see here all that wish lists are is just they would be their own thing. So let's head over here and wish lists, a collection of stays or experiences. I think it can be either one, pretty sure. And then as you can see, I'm a person who likes to dream a lot about places to go. So this is a pretty basic list, though. All we can see is, the wish list, this area in this app, there really isn't much in here. So let's go. I think this is Rio de Janeiro, folks, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so looking at this, all it is, this is the view actually I'm more interested in. Clicking into it, and so right now this is here are our stuff for homes, and then if we also had trips in the same wish list, this can be set up however someone likes, and I'm not even sure if it's set up this way, but I would set it up where homes, here's all your homes. If you were planning a trip to Rio, for example, you would put all your homes here and all your experiences underneath it, right? So easy to do. And that's basically it for this wish list area. So we just rocked and crushed that. Congratulations. Now let's take a look at trips, and we can just see basically anything that has gone past. This is where I happen to be staying at the moment. It also shows some things to explore nearby, upcoming reservations as well. And then basically a giant list of all the different places that you've stayed in the past on the platform. I'm a heavy Airbnb user, having been someone who's had a remote job for about 9 years. So the main takeaway from something like this is, if you have something in your app that is being consumed and you wanted to create a history of all of those things. So by consumed, I mean like these could be all the posts that someone has read. Here's all the songs you've listened to. Here's all of the, connections that you've made, or the chats that you have with someone in a simple, messaging app. So current, future, and past. That sets us up for that. Inbox. Now let's see what's going on here. So we can see that there are basically 2 options, messages and the notifications. It looks like it's had a little bit of a timeout, but here obviously we could see notifications. This is probably like more information related to the stuff. Like it's almost like, with the upcoming trip stuff, it's like your place is, here's what's Here's a list of all the things. You could click on each of those individually, then they show up in this panel here. And that's like the user interface as I'm displaying, which obviously you've seen a messaging system before. This is all of the messages, and then here is the message thread. So no big surprises here of what composes an inbox. But if you've never thought about building an inbox before, then there's probably a lot of things that we can look at here. So let's build this out. Okay, so what I have it broken down into is basically a conversation list that would be here, all the people that you have a conversation with, whether that's someone who's hosting an experience but basically this is the same breakdown for any type of app that has messaging in it. And if you're looking for how to build one of these, I suggest you check out, there is a swipe-based dating app on this channel where it goes into great detail about how to set one of these up. And also an amazing thing about those videos is that we get some notification management, and there's even like a search feature to search the conversations. So there's a lot on there, and it's all free content, so check it out. But basically a conversation list of all the conversations. You can see that this would be a data type. You'd have 2 users in it, and then there's the current user and then whoever is the other user in it. And you could build your UI based upon that logic. Like if it's the current user and we're looking at this stuff, then their displays, from the messages on how we're all used to seeing messages. Here's a good example just to show that. So if we're the current user, then we see this and they see something else. And here are all of the people that should be here that is just not loading. But you get the point. Anyone who's made it down this far the rabbit hole, what's happening with apps, and you're familiar enough. So cool. So conversation list, we can see from the data and all the things, we would have messages that are in a conversation, and they would get displayed based upon the time that they were displayed, and they would get displayed based upon who put them who contributed them to the conversation. And then some notification management that would share if one of those has been read or not, meaning that the user has clicked on something that would show the display, and as soon as that display shows, it counts as read. All right, so then the login, which is now just this is /profile.